Hello friends, welcome back to my video. So in today's video, I will be showing PowerShell script. So this will be useful for the PowerShell beginners and also people with a little bit experience in PowerShell, right? So in this video, I have created a script. Basically, this script generates a random password of user-defined length whenever the password function is called, right? It will generate a random password of secure string password, and it will create a user based on the CSV file provided by the user, right? So whatever user we defined in the CSV file, it will create those users in the AD, right? So I have two OU accounts in engineering. So this is what I mentioned. I have two users who I want to put into OU, engineering OU, and one user to accounts. Let's see whether this works. Then I will explain. Let me run this code. Okay. So it has created, and you can see password, the randomized password. So it is showing in clear text because I am printing that right in this line. But we should not do that to print sensitive data on console. But in this demo, I am doing that. And if you see, this thing will be converted to secure string while creating a user. I will explain that in a minute. Okay, let me refresh and see. Users have been created. Okay, and they are enabled. Good. Okay. So users are created. We can share this password with the user, and so that they can log in and do their work. Okay, let's get into the code. I won't recommend you to use this as is because I have not implemented a lot of error handling and all, right? If I'm running this code again, it will throw error that user exists, right? So I have not done those checks, right? This is to only demonstrate how to use for each, and how where to use switch instead of nested if, and what is PowerShell function, how to use that, and what are the what is the param block that is used within function, right? Okay, let me explain line by line, right? So if you see the function I have named is return array, right? So where am I calling that? I am calling that inside the getSecurePassword function, right? Where am I calling getSecurePassword function? I am calling that within for each loop. Why I am calling? Because this account password parameter of this new AD user command takes a secure password, right? Secure string password. So that is why I created this function where we can define the length of our choice. So it can be 10 if your organization demands 20 or 25. You can just put 20, 25. It will generate 25 character password, right? So that is why we created that function, right? Let's go to this function first. So I have done something called param. I have used param block, right? So param block, I'm just defining what will be my parameter type, whether it is mandatory, and whether it will take allow pipeline, allow whether it will take value from pipeline or not. So those are things we can define here. So in this case, I have just defined mandatory is equal to true, right? That what that mean? That means if I do not put this mandatory password length parameter, if I run it, it will throw error saying that you have not provided a mandatory parameter. So that is why it is mandatory parameter true, right? Hope you might have got this so far this, right? So that is why that attribute is there. Now coming to these three arrays, I'm basically creating three arrays, right? So how am I creating three arrays? I'm using this return array function, right? I could have written separate code to generate a array, but that would be writing same code 3 times, right? So we should be avoiding such thing. That is why we are going for thing called function. In other language, it may call method, right? So basically, we are breaking code into smaller pieces to make it modular, so that we can reuse the code wherever possible, right? So that is the idea behind function. So that we can break a big code into small chunk and that can be reused. So basically, I'm reusing the same code, right? How am I reusing same code? So if you see in the upper, my goal is to get an array of English characters from upper A to Z or A to Z, right? And I'm passing these two, right? 6590. So these two are ASCII code, right? So 65 means ASCII code 65 means capital A. So how am I telling? If I do this, it will say A. If I do 90, it will say Z. If I do 97, it will say small a, right? I hope you might have got it. Similarly for numbers. You can Google for ASCII table or ASCII code, ASCII keyboard code, you will find those things. Okay, so I am passing 6590. So this array taking two variables, right? Start and end, and this is that 65 and 90. So this for loop. So I am creating a temporary array, sum array, right? I am returning that sum array. So if you see, when this function is called, it will initialize a temporary array called sum array, and then whatever we provide as start, so this for loop will start from 65 and it will end at 90, and for each iteration this I will hold value from 65 to 90, right? And as you have seen, if we convert that ASCII code to character, it basically converts to your English keyboard character, right? So that is what happening, and I am storing that in the sum array. So I am using this plus operator, right? So to storing those values. So at the end of this, I will have in this dollar upper variable an array of English character capital A to Z. Similarly, in this small a to z and in this 0 to 9, right? Hope you are with me so far. Okay, so this is my this variable will hold my the output string of it. If I'm defining, if I'm inputting as password length as 10, then that pass string will have 10 characters, string of 10 characters, right? So this will have a string of 10 characters. So I'm using System.Random class. So I have created an object, a new object, initialize it, new object of System.Random to generate a random number. I will tell you how, right? So I've created object out of it, System.Random class, and here I'm using for loop. I think there is a separate commandlet for generating random in PowerShell itself. So, but I am using system.random here, but you can avoid that. So I am going through for loop, right? So in this for loop, remember I am taking user input password length, in this case 10, right? So this loop will start from 0 and it will go up to 10, and I plus plus means it will increment each step by 1, right? So so first step would be 0, then 1, and so on. So if you see, I'm using switch instead of nested if, right? Right. So my idea was, so each iteration, I will be converting whatever array I have created, right? Upper, lower, and number. So I will be converting that back to character and store that into my password string so that I can construct a password like this, right? Of 10 character, 20 character, whatever, right? So so to do that, so what I'm doing is When I'm doing this, I've created this random object here, right? When I'm doing next, so this next takes start and end, right? So basically minimum and maximum, right? Takes minimum and maximum, two values, right? So what happens here is I have specified 0 and 3. That means it will generate a random number between 0 and 2, right? So in the first it may generate if I run it once, it may generate just 0. In next run it may generate 1. Next number next when I call it next, it may generate 2, right? Or it may generate 0 twice also. It's purely random. So idea is, so if it is generating 0, so it will take the 0 case, right? So this is called switch case in PowerShell, or it is present in most of the languages. Switch case. You can, if you don't want to use switch case, you can use a nested loop also, right? If it is 0, do this. If it is 1, do that. If it is 2, do that, right? So I will have whenever this loop will be called 10 times, right? Because I'm password length is 10. So each time this it will generate a random between 0, 1, and 2. So I'm using switch to make the code concise and look good, right? But you could use nested if also. So when the case is 0, what I'm doing is I'm concatenating my password string, and what I'm doing is I'm using my array upper, and I'm also getting the random element from that array, right? So if I'm doing, I'm again using that random object. In this time, I'm specifying, because array index starts from 0. The first element will be in array will be present at 0th index, so it starts from 0 and it will go up to array length. If in English character we have 26, right? So this array length will be 26. So this will be generating a number between your 0 to 25, right? As we have seen, it will not produce the 26. It will produce between 0 to 25, right? So in the first iteration, if it happens to be 0 and this happens to be, say, some value, say 10, so whatever character that is stored in this array will be returned. I am adding that to my pass string, right? So it could be A, B, C, whatever, right? So similarly, for each iteration, there will be some random, maybe uppercase or lowercase or smaller case, like you see, right? And there is uppercase, there is a lowercase, there is number somewhere, right? So this is a pure random thing, right? So that's it for the for loop. Now we have our password string, right? As I said, this new AD user takes a secure string. That is why we are using convert to secure string commandlet. It takes this parameter string. We are passing that string that we just created, right? Of whatever desired length, and these two are mandatory parameter. Otherwise, it will give error. I will show you why. If I am doing convert to secure string, and in string, if I pass some just random string, if I just hit enter, it will give error, right? It will give error. It is not a valid string. So I need to tell, okay, whatever I provided is a plain text. Now it will say that no, you cannot present plain text into this. So to override this or suppress this, you need to use force parameter. So I will do force. Let me do force. It will convert that to this string will be converted to secure string that I can use. So basically, I'm converting that and returning that, right? So now let's come to this piece of code, line number 40, right? So I have shown you the CSV, right? In the CSV, usual CSV we use a delimiter comma, right? But this OU also has comma, so that will clash with my reading CSV. That is why I have converted a comma to colon, and that is the delimiter I'm using, right? In info-csv, I'm reading the CSV file and I'm using delimiter colon. Let me run only this piece of code so that it will be helpful for you to see. You see, it read the file and it converted into PowerShell object, right? So it's a collection of PowerShell object, right? And as we know in PowerShell, we can use for each, and even while loop to go over the collection, right? So I'm using for each. You could use for loop also, as we have seen above, but I'm using for each, right? So my import user is my collection, and you can see this is my import user, right? It has 3 users with these properties: first name, surname, and OU path, and these properties, right? And so I'm using for each, and each loop I will have this user variable, which will be um, which will be a variable for each iteration, right? So this variable will be the object, this PowerShell object during that particular iteration, right? Let's see. We know a new AD user takes a given name, right? In our case, given name is our first name. So I'm using $user dot first name, and then surname takes the last name, right? So that is I have created accordingly. So and $user dot surname. Similarly, SAM account name. SAM account name is your login name that you use for login into your Windows system. So similarly, what we have done there, and then name is again we can use that as a display name like this. If you see, this is your display name and this is your name. Basically, both are same. And this is your given name and this is your surname. And this is your SAM account name. What you see is SAM account name. You can add more attributes, and this is just for demo. This is not for any class. This is mainly for demo of PowerShell, how to use different loops. Okay, I'm using enable true because by default it sets enable false. So user will not be able to log in. So that is why enable true. And path takes the OU, right? So this is the OU that I have defined: engineering, engineering and which DC. So this is the format that you need to define OU path, right? So that is how it is created user in that particular OU. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, you can put your question in comment. I will try to answer if I find time. I hope you liked it. You find it interesting and useful for your day-to-day work with your PowerShell and AD. I will come up with more such basic PowerShell video in the future. Until then, bye bye from my side. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, and share.